Hello dear traders, good morning, my name is Alfred Wright and today we are doing like usually a market review. Now let's just wait for everybody to join and we will begin shortly. I'll just open up the economic calendar in the beginning in the meantime and just quickly overlook what's happening, and I suggest you do the same. I will obviously voice the economic calendar out just like usually. Right, just wait everybody to join and we'll begin in 1 minute. Alright, I think we can begin now. I see a lot of you have joined already. So, once again, my name is Alfred Wright, if you don't know, and I'm a trader here at Finmax. And I'm conducting market review every single Monday. And let's look quickly what's happening this week. So, today, sure as a lot of you know, we have two holidays for two countries. United Kingdom it's Spring Day, and United States it's Memorial Day. Now, since it's Memorial Day in the United States, that means that the American market is not open today. That includes stocks. That also includes gold and oil. So if you look in the platform, those assets will not be available to trade on today only, and already tomorrow they'll be available again. That's why, because there's just holidays, there's very few events happening or news reports today. There's investing.com, just index, and we have the employment levels for Swiss franc, which is in 12 minutes, and the French job seekers total. So for euro. Other than that, there will not be a lot of volatility today. I would say just the fundamental other news that are happening around the world that will be affecting. And obviously, the price for those assets will take in place already starting Tuesday. So looking at actually Tuesday, we have also a couple events. Not as much, not a lot of volatility other than the consumer confidence for the US dollar, which is obviously it is important. So we're looking only on that on Tuesday. Now, Wednesday, the I would say pre-last day of the month, one of the most important days um, for this week is we have a lot of events happening. Well, first of all, we have Governor Kuroda speaking for Bank of Japan, and then there's retail sales, so that will be very interesting at night. And now we have the retail sales for Germany, the French GDP, Spanish CPI, German unemployment change, and the unemployment rate as well, the German CPI. So a lot of different events for the euro straight away right in the morning to start the day off with, I would say, good volatility to trade on. Now for the US dollar at 15.30 we have the US GDP, and the same time we have for a bit of Canadian dollar news, we have also good trades balance for the US dollar, and after that an hour and a half at 17:00 GMT plus 3 we have the Bank of Canada rate statement and the interest rate decision, which is obviously I would say the highlight uh, of the end of this month, and this is what I'm most excited about. It'll be an interesting time to open different positions and obviously on all currency pairs, likewise CFD and binary. Now, lastly, we have it's Thursday, the last day of the month. We have, let me see, industrial production from the Japanese yen. We have the GDP for Swiss franc. We're looking at the French CPI, Spanish GDP, the Euro CPI as well, and we can see Italy's there as well. And lastly but not least, we have Canadian dollar GDP, and most important, what's not happening Wednesday, but's happening actually Thursday, is the crude oil inventory. So we have our weekly crude oil trading sessions, and obviously very excited for that. and an hour before the crude oil inventories. Thankfully, not at the same time. We have the pending home sales, so hopefully the result of that event will not cause any, will not interfere with crude oil inventories, and the volatility will already expire for the upcoming reports, weekly report. And that's it for the end of the month. And we're starting our Friday. It's the new month, June 1st. And obviously, since it's first Friday, and I hope all of you already know what happens on the first Friday of a new month, it's most important is the non-farm payrolls. So in the beginning of the day, we have a bit for you can see Japanese yen, we have shilling dollar, German manufacturing, and euro and the British manufacturing PMI in the mornings. Nothing too much. And then we have all the US dollar news. You can see it's all filled with US dollar different times. 15:30 GMT plus 3, we have the average hourly earnings. We have non-farm payrolls, participation rate, private non-farm payrolls, and unemployment rate all at the same time. So there'll be a lot of volatility and obviously a very exciting period to trade. If you're not up for volatility, do not trade. And if you're interested in actually um, earning from non-farm payrolls, I would say that's most of the trader's salary in the beginning of the month. So it's obviously consult your expert and they will help you out in the best way possible in order for you to find the best solution for this event and the best position. Now, a bit afterwards, we have the manufacturing PMI, obviously, because it's that's what's released for almost all different currency pairs out there for the US dollar, and then yeah, there's the ISM manufacturing PMI actually uh, at 1700 GMT plus 3. And then afterwards, we have just a bit of more S&P 500. There's the CFTC, but other than that, that's not as important. That finishes off the first day of the new month, and that's it for this week. So obviously our schedule say today is very free in terms of different news that are released. Tomorrow we're looking at volatility, and starting from Wednesday and Thursday there's a heavy schedule and there'll be a lot of different opportunities, which is the best part. Now there's also a very interesting situation that's happening right now, and it's with the US oil. I'm going to talk about that a bit. Now, the US oil today is actually closed. We're not able to trade on that, and it's because of the American market. You can see it's not available. Now, the US oil, there was the, if recently there was an OPEC meeting, right? And there was a lot of news regarding that, but most important is, first of all, OPEC and Russia are actually looking to increase the oil production by 1 million barrels per day, which is very huge and very impressive. So obviously there'll be a huge effect on reflecting the crude oil as well. Now, regarding crude oil itself, US crude oil, they're actually now looking to decrease their production speed, and based from the recent results, we saw what kind of effect they had. It's actually looking to speed it up. And right now, at this point, the the US crude production is at 10.73 million barrels per day, if I'm not wrong, and that's very close because Russia is at 11 million. And obviously, they're trying to overcome that goal and have a higher production per day. Now, they're actually looking to increase more this year, and it's because they're actually increasing, they're actually searching, and they're looking to expand for new oil fields and more drillings. And if I'm not wrong, they already set up, was it 15 rigs in the last week. Yeah, so last week they set up already, they're looking to add already 15 new rigs, which in total for the U.S. energy companies it equals to this where I read this it was 859. So obviously it's that's first of all that's in general the highest level since 2015, and it's just it's a big indicator that their overall production will increase. Now, because of the whole North Korean situation, we saw is let me see where is this? Yeah, we saw the oil price decrease, and Friday huge decreasing, and already previous days Wednesday, Thursday as well. We were looking at the same type of movement since Monday basically. For previous last week, they're just decreasing the whole time. And let's see, there you go. Yeah, so say I actually since Tuesday hit a level right here, very interesting, highest priced. What we're looking at, I think, in my opinion, is just a correction currently, and I think the best part about the best situation, the best day to actually trade on U.S. oil is Tuesday when it will catch up with that volatility that happened and with all the recent news that'll be released, especially today, I guess. They'll be releasing since Monday and the weekends just happened, so there'll be a lot of more updates for the U.S. crude oil. And already, obviously, on Thursday, it's the last day of the month, and we have the crude oil reports, which is the next indication on how the production will proceed. And that's my suggestion. If you're interested in trading crude oil, it's Tuesday and Thursday. Wednesday, not as much. There's actually like I said, there's news for Canadian dollar, and it'll have a slight effect. And I wouldn't suggest you to actually fully trade on US oil, based also on the movement we can see happening right now. As you can see, it's decreasing, correcting itself slightly right now. Um, we are looking for it to continue decreasing. The movement is very strong. You can see at 15 minutes it will continue decreasing around this level, correcting itself, not a big deal. And we're looking for, yeah, like I said, that to continue and then start the reversal around this area and continue upwards. I think what could spark that movement is already actually the crude oil inventories report. So on that note, that's my speculation, that's my prediction for the US oil, and that's my suggestions on when to actually trade on it. Now, let's take a look quickly on a Euro US dollar. Um, like we said, talked previously, actually, we saw it decrease a lot. And just yesterday, again, decreased a bit more. And today, it opened up with a gap and it's looking to increase. Now, let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Bad. All right. 4-hour chart, I would say still down, more of a downward trend and a bit more undecisive in the middle. Now, take a look quickly at 1 hour. On 1 hour, we saw it since it opened up with a gap, it's increasing. Now it's decreasing after touching the linear regression at around 1 hour ago. If you're looking at 15 minutes, we're looking at the same thing. It's going to continue decreasing. It will continue dropping in its price. If you look at 5 minutes, exactly what we saw, and it's just more realistic for it to continue. Yeah, we saw a bit of correction here, but overall, right now it's decreasing, and that's overall just mostly to the fact that the US dollar is increasing its price. You can see just very similar movement. Now, in my opinion, I think what will happen is once the Euro index will open up, which is in 5 hours, a bit less than 5 hours. That's when the euro will overtake actually the dollar, since there's a lot of news happening currently with Italy and their whole politics, and it's taking a heavy hit on euro. So obviously, in this case, the euro is the dominant currency in this pair, and the dollar already had its share of growth, and it's looking to slow down, in my opinion. So look at one day today, it's already decreasing. We can start out on Euro US dollar. It's increasing there, and we see a sort of more of a pattern forming, green red. So we'll see how that goes out. But this is the highest price. This is the highest price since December for the dollar index. If you look at dollar yen, dollar yen is not playing by the rules. It's not moving in the same way that the dollar index itself is. Why? Because we have the Japanese yen. Again, the dollar index is having it's very strong right now and it's continuing to grow. However, the currency pairs with the US dollar are not, I would say actually the major currency pairs with the US dollar are not reacting fully. You can see that last week it just continued to decrease and decrease and decrease. And if you look at 4 hours, let's take a look quickly. Since the moment started decreasing to its lowest point, it decreased by almost 250 pips, which is a huge amount, and it's only a matter in 1 week. Yeah, 1 week, 250 pips. That was very intense, and that was actually a great opportunity to join that movement. And right now, we're looking again for that movement to continue. If you take a look closely, so far it's still decreasing, and yeah. So that's for the US dollar, Japanese yen, Euro US dollar. It's moving a bit more like the dollar index, a bit more like Euro as well, you can see. So we'll see where that stands as well. The British pound US dollar, same thing. As you can see, it actually, in a very interesting situation. Yesterday, it hit a great level right here. Uh, yeah, the low is 1.33. That's where it previously reversed. I broke to the level, wouldn't go below it twice, as you can see, in December, and continued to increase. Now, after a very huge down movement since middle of April, so for over a month so far, it's been decreasing. As you can see, the movement has been fairly interesting. It's more than 1,000 pips. So, with the British pound US dollar touching this level again that previously reversed upon, uh, there is a good chance that today will continue with a movement upwards. Again, there's an interesting pattern that was forming previously: red, green, red, green, red. Now, right now, it's green so far today. If looking a bit closer into the day, we actually see a bit of a more different situation, a bit of more of actually for it to continue decreasing. You can see this trend is rising right now, it's continuing to fall. So we will have to see further on. There are no news today, and that's what actually is going to do determine, I would say, the price and its direction where it will continue. Um, yeah, since there are no real fundamental factors of where it's going to continue growing. Let's take a look quickly with our Fibonacci retracement. So highest price, yes, so that was 2 days ago. Let's take a look actually closer. 15 right over here. Let's take a look here. Perfect. Okay. So since the highest price on Friday and today the lowest price. Well, yesterday, Friday. I mean, Friday is still the lowest price, but overall, here we can see Fibonacci retracement. It's very interesting how it's moving along. In between two levels right now, two channels, and I would say that the next reversal point will not be here. It could, I think, it could break through it. That's realistic. How easily it broke through it multiple times and not actually um, going bouncing off, not actually already correcting itself from that position, from that level. So realistically, looking at British pound US dollar, not a lot of fundamental factors. The Fibonacci retracement won't tell us as much information as we need in order to open a position. My suggestion for the British pound US dollar is actually for it to continue to decreasing, since that's a fairly good trend and it's very strong. So that's my outlook on that. Now EURJPY, let's take a look what's happening right now here. Very interesting as well. It's been decreasing. As you can see, my Fibonacci retracement, I needed to update it since I have not done that last week due to the very volatile movement that it had. Um, we saw that it came to this level, thought it was going to continue increasing, but it just decided to break through it one day. If we take a look from that one day, it decreased by 250 pips, and so far it's already more than, yeah, 350 in total. Um, we can see that it looks like it's supposed to be correcting soon. Good 4 hours. It's looking again as well. Let's take a look a bit closer. 1 hour is decreasing, and I would say your GPL will continue decreasing, and I think that's a bit more realistic. You can see it's pretty strong. We'll see actually if it continues decreasing through this point. It came to this level and actually continued off. But overall, if you look at 1 hour on the hourly chart, it has a strong trend downwards, and I would say that it's realistic for it to continue that downward direction, since the euro is not looking good nowadays. Um, Take a look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar. The US dollar, Canadian dollar. Let's take a look. Again, very interesting situation since it's not following the rules of actually US dollar. Again, like I said previously, major currency pairs with the US dollar are not following its direction. It's not the strongest currency in the currency pair, and the Canadian dollar is acting up a bit more. Now, I do not suggest you to trade on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I do not suggest to, since we have the Bank of Canada interest rate decision, we have the GDP, we have a lot of different news that are happening for the Canadian dollar. We have, yeah, Wednesday. We have what, Thursday as well. We have a lot of events, and there is no point to trade just based on technical analysis when you can secure a position with fundamental based analysis and be able to have a less riskier position. Since the Canadian dollar right now is in a more of a, obviously more of a dilemma. It's at a level of 1.3 where it reversed previously in beginning of May in the first weeks. and now it's looking to continue increasing. It has a strong trend upwards. So my guess is to look a bit closer to a little smaller interval. Let's take a look right now. All right, looking at the 1 hour chart, it has a strong trend upwards. You can see by the linear regression on the stochastic RSI, on the ADX, uh, it's going upwards, 15 minutes as well. So, my suggestion actually, to discard what I said previously, it's looking good right now to continue increasing. I think it will continue increasing at this point. I fairly doubt it'll actually rest at this point, at this level right now as well. And today, tomorrow, you continue taking this direction to continue upwards. And already on Wednesday, Thursday is looking a bit different. So there you go. And yeah, on interest rate and GDP will be the best positions possible. I think those are the most important parts for the currency and the best opportunity out there. Now, I want to quickly go back to the British pound, Japanese yen. Actually, okay, I'll do that later. Down the British pound, Japanese yen, we see a similar situation. Um, Now the Japanese yen is supposed to be growing right now, and we see a growth happening. So it's just swing actually. Yeah, Japanese yen, we see a growth happening. We can see from 2018 high lowest to highest level. It touched this 78.6 level. Now it's increasing. It's realistic for it to continue increasing, and we're seeing that correction started for the British pound. Now, if we look at the British pound itself, it's not looking good, and we can actually delete this one right here. Now, the British pound is looking very bad right now, and I would say it has still potential to decrease. It's very volatile, the actual currency index itself. So, looking at British pound, Japanese yen, having this massively decreased, there's a lot of more news that are being released for the Japanese yen. And as I said previously, so tonight, yeah, from Monday to Tuesday night, we have the Japanese yen jobs application ratio. Tuesday to Wednesday night, we have retail sales and Governor Kuroda speaking. So a lot of volatility overnight, and reflecting that obviously already during the day. The industrial production for the Japanese yen as well on Wednesday to Thursday night, and Thursday to Friday we have capital spending. So this whole week we have a Japanese yen currency. We have Japanese yen news, and that'll be the best position. The best way to actually trade on Japanese yen is overnight. Keep your positions open for binary, for CFD overnight, and be able to gain on the new movement happen. But on that note, we're looking for the British pound Japanese yen to decrease in its price. Okay, let's take a look. We're going to use dollar Swiss franc. Okay, now US dollar Swiss franc is looking to correct a bit since obviously we saw Swiss franc correcting itself already. Now the US dollar Swiss franc, it came up to a level of 1.0 and a bit higher, and from that level it continued decreasing now. What we're looking right now is for it may perhaps to continue decrease about this level right here. That would say it's more realistic. And from that note, continue upwards because the trend is pretty strong. Looking at 4 hour, it's slowing down. I would say it's not decreasing too fast. If we look at 1 hour, so far it's increasing right now in 15 minutes. A bit more or less. For these also Swiss I would suggest to trade on the US dollar news, on the US dollar reports based on fundamentally, since the Swiss franc is again acting up a bit more. It's at very close to the 1.0 again level. And if you want to trade in the US dollar Swiss franc, again, I suggest just to trade on the US dollar reports that are being released this week, and that will offer a lot better movement, in my opinion. To go quickly on Euro Swiss franc. Now, Euro Swiss franc as well, of very interesting situation that happened. Now, in April, it came up to a level of 1.2, and from that moment, it just continued slumping down, decreasing. If nobody knows really what the 1.2 level is, let's take a look quickly back to go back into history. 1.2 level is basically the infamous level of where the Euro Swiss franc decreased heavily when the Swiss franc jumped in its value. What happened for the Euro Swiss franc? Just a demonstration right here. It decreased by 2,300 pips, to almost 20% in its price. It was devalued. So obviously, this is where things started to get a bit more tricky and continued decreasing. We saw huge movement yesterday, especially, and already today it looks like it's correcting. Let's take a look at 4 hours. Um, well, obviously the trend is downwards since what happened recently. Actually, yeah. Let's take a look here. And if you look at 1 hour, it looks like increasing. It's a good level. Touch linear regression continuing downwards. Stochastic RSI ADX as well. I don't see any point why it's not going to continue downwards. 15 minutes, same thing basically. So there you go. I think those are the interesting positions. I wouldn't say there's much more. Basically covered all the major currency pairs that are more or less interesting to trade today, and if not today, then already tomorrow on the correction, on the result after the American market opens. There will also be a lot of volatility on the US dollar, but that's pretty much it, I would say. I just wanted to quickly take a look on Bitcoin. Bitcoin decreasing since hitting 10,000, slowly and surely, not as volatile, which is good. Um, like at 4 hours, it's decreasing slowly. Take like 1 hour, same thing here as well. Take a look. Well, it's increasing a bit right now, correcting after falling today. Okay, that's just Bitcoin. There is nothing else really much happening towards it. We saw the US 10-year yield. Again, here you saw it hit the 3.1 level. After breaking the low 3.0 slightly in end of April. Then in May, just crashing towards it and now decreasing in its price. Um, Interestingly, the US 10-year yield has an effect on how the US dollar Japanese yen performs, and we're seeing that reflection right here. The US 10-year yield will continue decreasing, the Japanese yen will continue decreasing. So there we go. And lastly, I'll cover gold. Let's take a look. Gold 1 day. We saw correction happening, let's say what, Thursday, Friday, a bit decreasing after gold will continue falling in its price, and we're waiting for that correction to happen and happen, but it wasn't happening. And just recently at the level of 61.8, it actually did. Now, let's take a look right here on 1 hour. On 1 hour, we saw the currency pair started decreasing today slightly, but surely again, if I'm not wrong, gold will not be available on a platform. So you see gold not available. Okay. So gold is not going to be available since yeah, it's Memorial Day in the United States. So today it's again slow movement. It's better to actually trade tomorrow and a bit more based on technical analysis. Obviously, actually the US dollar will not have as big of an effect on here. It's more fundamental in terms of not the economic calendar news, but actually what's happening with North Korea and any progress, any more update that's going to be released related to North Korean situation, the United States situation with Donald Trump canceling the summit with Kim Jong-un. Um, that will reflect on the price of gold and as well for oil as well. So uh, that's what I suggest you to keep your eyes open this week. Just just have the economic calendar open the whole day, starting Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, since you do not want to miss all the events that are happening. Obviously, there's a couple ones at the same time, so you have to pick. But and nevertheless, it's very interesting. It's a very great opportunity. It's not a lot that this happens that there's so many events at once, especially in such a short time space. And obviously, I had to take advantage of that in order to be able to profit and make good progress. So, on that note, I wish everybody a great and successful week of trading, and I'll see you guys on my next webinar.